I've been looking forward to this interview tonight. Yogi Sai has agreed to talk to us, and the Kite Media viewers, thank you very much for coming tonight, Sai.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you for giving me a chance to get my voice out, Jamie.
Well, there's a lot of things that we could talk about. We can always have a very good conversation. Every time I meet with you, something good comes out of it. So I've got a few questions that we've composed. So tonight's topics is going to be a lot to do about the history of Thanet and the relevance of the local history. So before we start about that, Si, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the journey you've had so far?
Right. Okay. My name's Simon. I'm known as Yogi in certain circles, also Kalki. I have different names from where I, move and do my things. I teach yoga, martial arts, and English. I've been doing this for a long time in many different countries. I spent a good 13 years of my life living in Thailand. I enjoy visiting India and Mexico, but I'm fascinated with the whole planet. It's one of the reasons I like teaching English as well. I meet so many different people from different cultures and learn about, their countries, their culture.
Fantastic. Are you teaching martial arts at the moment? Is this something that's happening?
Always, mate. Yeah, sometimes I teach many people, sometimes I teach small groups. Wherever I go, I seem to find students and
fantastic. I've seen you down the beach. I've seen people enjoying themselves
Parks,
while you're doing the
beaches,
training.
Get them in nature, mate.
Fantastic. Well, you've got some very interesting information about the history and symbology of Thanet.
Right.
If you'd like to tell us a little bit about that.
I was born in Thanet. Thanet was an isle. It's at the southeast of England, and it was known as the Isle of Death after the Greek god Thanatos.
Not too good, eh? Not too good.
No. Only if you fear of death. I mean, if I'm born on the Isle of Death, there I shouldn't fear death. I mean, where do you go when you die?
That's true.
Let's look at the geometry around Thanet. I mean, you cross the river Wonsum, which is what divides us from the mainland England. Small river now. But you come to this isle, and its old name was the Thanat, after like the furnace, the Isle of Light. Also Fairness. A legend has it, Julius Caesar changed the name when he first arrived on these shores, and he called it Thanatos after the Greek god of death. But beforehand it was known as the Isle of Light, Fairness. You've got names of places and towns which are very important. For example, this is Ramsgate. Ram is in Sanskrit another name for God of love, defence and agriculture. On the other side you've got Margate, god of love, martial arts, defence, agriculture. Sanskrit and Latin, often Latin languages seem to spell Sanskrit, the older language, reverse or in different ways. Ram, R-A-M, Mar, M-A-R. Explain the same deity. Then you've got the broad stairs of heaven, and at the top you've got St. Peter.
And the gates of St. Peter.
Simon Peter. And you've got the King's Gate, the gates to the west. You've often had a lot of legends and stories going back to druids, smugglers. I mean, the frontline defence of England during previous wars, Manston Airport. I mean, this is where the Angels of Death come from, and some believe, the legendary SAS, possibly frontline protectors and pioneers and guardians of England, which I call Angel Land or Angland.
Yeah.
But I'll go deeper into that as you continue to ask some questions.
As far as the druidic connection with Thanet goes, how did you learn about that?
Oh, I'm fascinated with old cultures, old history, not only from England but all around the world. And the more I started to study the names of places, the geometry of these places, and look into what the beliefs of my ancestors were about. Very much into nature worship, the sun's the father, the earth's the mother, but there are many different deities. Call them the Fae, call them elves, call them angels, that walk amongst us. The shadows, as it were, but maybe they're frequencies of consciousness that people are tuned to and become when they need to. if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, I can understand that. Do you think the Shell Grotto in Margate perhaps was at one time partly to do with that? It's an interesting place, appears to be a place of worship.
A fascinating place that I've visited many times, and even when you walk into the Shell Grotto, you'll see a tortoise. Now, on the script they give you with the map of the Shell Grotto as you're going in, or a turtle, they say that this possibly represents Vishnu, again an Asian deity like Ram, but already in our land for many, many years. But this is not only Asian, Christianity, who is the Lamb of God. Behold, I saw a pale rider, Thanet's in Kent, the white horse, rampant in victor is the motto, and the Lamb of God being the ram, the archer who holds the sword in his left hand. But this is also used by military, psychological warfare, you know. Were nuclear missiles ever stored in RAF Manston? Does Manston, Man of Stone, have anything to do with Masons? And has Edward the Duke of Kent stolen these symbols and used them to keep certain belief systems going, especially world control? You have to obey our currency systems, you have to obey the laws they put out, otherwise who holds the nukes?
Well, absolutely.
Now, I've no problem against any Mason, any person of any race, creed or nation, but I'm just looking at the tops of the institutes and how they use this symbology, and if they use it in a negative way, I believe that it needs to be exposed. As a martial artist, I was trained by Buddhist circles, and we're taught to protect the Dharma, which means the universal law, symbols of God, basically, rather than using them in hypocritic ways. Maybe it's better to point them out. Maybe they're just ignorant, because that is the main war we rage against, ignorance. Ignorance is the cause of all suffering.
Well, how do you believe, as you say, that symbols could well have been used negatively against us? How can people in their everyday lives use symbols in a positive way?
Well, for me, the motto of my country, I'm a patriot to my home and my planet. I love this whole universe. And the motto, Rampant Invicta, on my flag, the pale horse, is a powerful affirmation or a powerful spell or a powerful mantra. That's the mantra of my ancestors. Rampant Invicta, we who dare wins. That would be the call to arms. Yeah. A symbol in a coat of arms, you know, brings
which was,
things
of course,
together.
the reason why I suppose people had the coats of arms.
They unify people. If the Lord or the Earl or whatever was respected and had a good reputation, he could gather the whole masses together. But if he used it in the wrong ways, this would lead to his downfall, because symbols do have power. And you know, you can think of money. Money is a symbol, and people will chase around it for it all day, all night, trying to get more of it. People get possessed over symbols. All I'm saying is, you're the same as me. You're born at Margate
Hospital. We're
same
Margate
thing.
boys.
We're Martians, mate. We're born at the god of love, war and agriculture. This is the Isle of it. Imagine, like, in the past, people were born here and it was seen as, well, you're a child of Rama or Mars.
Wow. I mean, how far back in time would we be talking?
Well, we're looking at Roman, Ram. Well, Ram is an Asian word for God, but as I said, is it Rama's gate with the broad stairs of heaven and St. Peter sitting on those pearly gates, waiting for everyone to wake up, and you realise you're born on the Isle of Death. Were you dead already? And life could be a whole illusion. It might all be an illusion, because my life, like yours, started at Margate.
Yeah. Was it planned in this way, do you think? Did somebody choose these locations and decide the kind of symbolic significance of them, or was it just a natural progression?
First of all, I think people recognise vibrations of areas, and people use those names to explain the vibrations that land has. As I said, I call England Angel Land, Angland. When St. Augustine's, who first came across the angles. Remember angle, angel? He said, are those angles or angels? And he was the guy who came over and he changed a belief system. The old beliefs of the past, go back to the Druids, the pagans or whatever, and more recently, Christianity. Bertha was a French princess. Ethelbert was King of Kent, or Prince of Kent, or something like this. And the deal was, if he was to marry this beautiful French lady, he had to change the beliefs of the people. So symbolism, sacred sites and things, had churches built over it, but also brought in land deeds, rights, bloodline royalty. Because remember, it was always monarchy and religion that would control the consciousness of the people, to the point where you're free. I love Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, all the saints, all the angels, all the superheroes. I've only ever had a problem with hypocrites using their names and symbols in a negative way. And sure. I know there's good people in every religion, every race, creed and nation. In fact, I believe that 99% of the world is intrinsically good.
Me too.
They just want to live in peace and be able to be free to live respectfully amongst each other.
Yeah, yeah. What would you say the importance of learning something about your local history is? Obviously, we're speaking about Thanet tonight, we're sitting in Thanet, but it applies for anywhere really. What's the importance of learning about the past of the area you reside in?
Know yourself, know your roots, know where you came from. As Buddha would say, everything you are is a result of your thoughts. The names of the places, the place that you experience, for better or for worse, doesn't matter, help create you, gave you your first thoughts. If you're still breathing, you're still alive, that means you can turn it for better. I'm an optimist, I'm always the optimistic. And I think, to be honest with you, I've had so many good experiences in this little while. Yeah. Growing up here was brilliant. So many mates all over the place. I'll go away for a while because I need a break and I need a bit of wandering, but I'll come back and I've always got my crew around me. I feel, yeah, this is my home. But as I've travelled around the planet, I found homes all over the place. Thailand became my home for many years. When I was in Mexico, that became my home. I realised this whole planet's my home. Yeah. And when I travel in my dreams and my meditations through the stars, I realise I'm just part of the whole universe, just like you. The whole universe is my home too. I love it all, mate.
No, it's fantastic, and we're lucky. We live in a beautiful place here.
Shining all day. I'm out. I've been doing longboarding and archery today. A lot of my mates are always out on adventures with me.
Are you still doing the guided tours? I know that was something at one point you were doing.
I was doing it a lot up to last year, where I was working with a lot of language schools. This year, I've been more getting into permaculture and studying, improving my knowledge of organic growing and things like this, while still teaching martial arts and yoga as I go through. No doubt I'll be doing guided tours again, and if anyone ever wants to go for a stroll with me, I'll show them a few places and do some interesting...
Fantastic. I always thought it was important. We don't really get taught much about our local history, if anything. I certainly didn't as I was growing up, and yet knowing your roots, as we know, is important.
Can I tell you about our local history?
I would love you to.
Yeah, okay. Up to recent times, people would come to Margate or Thanet for the healing waters. Had a reputation for healers. You know, Margate Sea Bathing Hospital. But for many years, it's a mystical island, is the island of the dead, or the island of Thanatos. People say there was, you know, lots of smugglers, many stories about smugglers, you know, as we said, druids. But I believe that this area is a magical place. It's the entrance into England or Angel Land as you come into it. And people have come here, they say they would just learn off the druids in the past, learn their spells and their magics. Well, today people come and study English from all over the world.
It's a centre for that, isn't it?
Language, or the Angelish language, is powerful, mate. It's almost biblically prophecy. People are speaking to each other and communicating all over the world in a language, understanding each other, understanding their planet. Also, I love learning languages too. But languages are like spells. You can flick on the internet, which is like a modern day Ouija board, and talk to many spirits on Facebook. Or you can use it to travel and visit Peru, for example, like one of your adventures. And as you learned, you know, it's a way of communication, travel, but a magic that opens many doors. Language is very important. I love learning languages because every time I learn different words and languages in different countries, I learn more about the spirit of the people. Did you know in Thailand they don't have a word for bad? They just say good or not good, dear or mighty. But that in a dialogue,
different state of mind,
will put you in a different state of consciousness.
Yeah. Well, the vibration of a negative word isn't good for people.
That's one of the things, like, many people are unaware. Like, you say, how are you doing today? Oh, not so bad. Yeah. Why are you using the bad word if you're feeling good? You're still putting out a symbol, and that other person may think of it, and that other person, but that magnifies the effect. Yeah. Words are powerful. Prayers, mantras, affirmation spells, it's all the same thing to me. Yeah. People get confused with the word. That's Babel. Babylon's Babel, as it were. Once you see the intent behind the word, that's where the magic is.
How could people use this in a practical way in their own lives? What could people do?
Shall we look at a map of Thanet? Let's start with looking at our homeland, and you can do this anywhere you are with your own homeland. Yeah. They say God is in everything, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscience. I'm seeing a name for God here. Broad stairs of heaven. We got St. Peter's up here, the gatekeeper. The sacred mythology of heaven. Where'd you go when you die? Thanatos.
Isle of the Dead.
Isle of the Dead.
Yeah.
You're at the gates, you're either judged by Ram, or is it Mara, who is the opposite effect, the Lord of Illusion, as it were, in Sanskrit.
So we've got the whole polarity going on here.
It's Ram, Ma. I mean, as I can say, it's a fascinating place. You've got an architect like Pugin, who would be making many of the buildings around London, including the House of Lords and the main chamber where all the lords and even the Queen would. She's your queen, shape my queen. but that's where they have their meetings. But the same connection links to St. Augustine's Abbey in Ramsgate. If you go to, I think it's the Chapel of Forgiveness, you'll see the architecture is the same layout. So you can see how religion, monarchy, and belief systems controlled people for such a long time.
Played a powerful role.
Yeah.
So things have changed now. We're in a different time.
Most definitely.
What can you see? How do you think the direction of things are going in at the moment? Does it look positive?
Mate, I think most people I meet want peace. Most people want friendship. I think there's such a wonder to be found in nature again. I'm seeing projects all being started up with organic growing, permaculture, you've got places all over Thanet. I was working in the Millmead Garden Centre doing some voluntary work earlier on this year. I left my car, my motorbikes behind. I got on a longboard, mate. I'm not going to pay so many bills, but this area is beautiful for longboarding. Loads of hills, beautiful trails like the Viking Trail. As I say, it's up to the individual what they do with their free time. If you're trapped reading newspapers and it's all looking doom and gloom, that will become your reality because the words on the paper are giving you that perception.
Yeah.
If you look at what's around you, I love the cosmopolitan, multicultural nature of Thanet. There are people from every race, creed and nation living on this little isle.
It's brilliant. We're a real mixed bag
and
here.
I've got mates with everybody, you know. I love studying the world, and I think if everyone has the right equally to go anywhere, live anywhere, but just be respectful. Common sense, really.
Yeah.
You know, everyone at the end of the day knows what's good and knows what's not so good, as it were. You know.
Treat people as you'd like to be treated, and you get a good reception.
Treat people as you'd love them and treat you, because no one knows who's a Yogi Ninja Anunnaki out there.
That's true. That's true. We could have some here tonight. We just don't know.
We both could be them.
We don't know. Like behind the bushes, maybe. We haven't checked there for a while. It could happen. How do you think we could change things for the better in Thanet? What could we do to improve this place even more?
What I'm trying to do, my aim is to enlighten and empower people. That's why I love teaching martial arts and yoga. Physical well-being, feeling healthy, that is very important for people's mental well-being. But also in an unpredictable world, I think people should, and it has, all these martial arts schools have now opened up. Beforehand, a few years ago, before Bruce Lee, they were all secret societies. But now, people can learn about different cultures, but train together and empower themselves. It doesn't have to be martial arts. That was my path with yoga. It could be Pilates or dance or music or infinite art forms. But if you've got an empowered society, you don't need guns anymore. You don't need bombs anymore. You just need good people that will use enlightened ways, they call it Budo, to keep the peace. I don't really want to see people in uniforms running around with truncheons. I mean, it's all pointy hats, wizards and policemen, star badges and a truncheon that hurts when it hits you, enforcing laws that are often,
Suspect.
I mean, marijuana, let's say. If that was legalised, that would provide a very good alternative income for this area, and there's a lot of people that do enjoy it. You can smell it in most parks and on beaches.
Absolutely.
And also, free energy from that, you can make hemp oil to run your vehicles on.
That's all it would take, wouldn't it? To start growing hemp again, it would make a huge difference to the economy.
They say something like 8% of US soil, if they were to grow hemp there, they could fuel the whole nation and stop oil wars and things like that.
Wow.
And that's only a little bit. Remember Nikola Tesla, Tesla Energy, all that was secret knowledge in the past and hidden away from us. Now we've got the internet and people are roaring this information out everywhere. But it is positive as well, because already got wind, energy coming up, we've got solar energy. Use all the elements.
Yeah.
Get people into growing a bit of food. Learning how to forage for food. We've got all the wild blackberries coming out now.
I picked some the other day. Delicious. Delicious.
And it grows in season, and it grows in your own native, soil. This is the perfect medicine to keep yourself healthy. For me, I'll go out on a little foraging mission with mates, do a bit of bushcraft and stuff like that. Ray Mears, Bear Grylls stuff. But it keeps life interesting, and it keeps, me occupied, rather than thinking, oh my gosh, I should be, doing this and that and working and paying off this, huge loan or doing it.
Stuck in that trap.
Simplicity. I found that one of the most easy ways to happiness.
Well, you've ditched your car and your motorbike, and as you say, you're on your longboard.
But it's not necessary. Maybe some people do need cars, but let's look at the technology we've got available. I mean, if we made it more affordable, hemp oil. In fact, let's say like all the public transport systems, the train, the buses, if they were given to people to be able to say, right, okay, the government or the admin bods or whatever you want to call them, they're printing up paper anyway. They can still print up paper and give them that paper that can be used as a trade, called money,
Yeah.
But it's free for people to use, and that would be a good apology. Because remember, if a lot of unemployed people live in Thanet, and a lot of people that are really willing to do things, a lot of people do a lot of voluntary work and stuff like that, but if they could travel, see things, just even visiting their friends and things, but they're financially trapped. They're either working, trying to get the money, and they don't have time to go and visit people or travel so much, or, they're constantly, let's say, I think civilization is becoming a little bit wilder, where people are breaking free from all these constructs. And I think it needs a balance between, come on mate, the government want forgiveness, let's start taking a lot of these really terrible laws which they brought in, the criminalisation of marijuana, all kinds of stuff like this, and let's start doing some positive stuff with it. Let's start saying, like, okay, let's legalise it, that will, you'll free most of the prisons. I mean,
it would cut out a huge percentage of crime.
Because what is crime, apart from what certain people claim to be authority? Give to people as a rule, and the same people seem to be very hypocritical themselves.
What's in store for the rest of this year, I wonder? There's a huge amount going on at the moment. It feels like something we're on the brink of.
I think it's a conscious leap. I think everyone's turning into angels, bodhisattvas, fairies and wonderful folk. It's a state of mind. You are what you think. And as the old ancient ways are coming back again, people are going to think, well, at the end of the day, every religion, mystery school, worth its salt, they told me to be an angel, a bodhisattva, an Elohim, whatever, you know.
All these names are now at the forefront, aren't they?
And people have become them again, and their actions, especially with this anonymous movement, mate, these are the true angels that are going around, not for money, not for profit, just because out of pure altruism. They love the planet, they want to unify people and get people together, and there's so many brilliant minds, geniuses coming out.
Well, they obviously feel a desire to be genuinely helpful to society. I, as we spoke of earlier, I don't really know a lot about Anonymous. Is this something that you're quite involved with?
I'm just a messenger. I see there's lots of people. Symbols seem to be very powerful, as you say. This is a powerful symbol. A Christian might say made in the likeness. As more and more people put this mask on and do good deeds. A Buddhist may say at the end of the Kali Yuga we all wear the same face again and enter the Sattva Yuga. I see it as prophecy. I think all of it's law of attraction, karma, sow as you reap. And all these thoughts that people have had over the years are manifesting them. So every religion is getting its apocalypse. They're seeing for themselves, and they can judge themselves. You know, as I said, it's really it's a beautiful time to be alive in.
Fantastic. Well, on that note, Si, thank you very much for speaking with us tonight.
Jamie. Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure. Fascinating. Hopefully the first of many.
I hope to do some more stuff with you.
That'd be brilliant.